What's up mga kababayan? PH Trending here. Dito sa video natin ngayon ay ating panoorin itong nagbabagang balita. Talaga nga namang inuubos na di umano ang pera o kaba ng bayan under sa pamamalakad ng bangag na administrasyon. Paano ba naman kasi may balak di umanong taasan pa ang mga allocated budget sa mga iba't ibang ahensya sa loob ng gobyerno. Naku naman po, na di umano kaya ginagawa nila to para mahirapan ang mga Duterte, Partikular na nga itong si VP Sara sa pamamalakad niya kung sakali mang manalo man ito sa taong 2028. Pero bago ang lahat mga kababayan, huwag niyo po sana kalimutang mag-like at subscribe para updated ka sa mga uploads ko araw-araw.
Sa inyo pong pananaliksik mula kailan ba yung unang SONA? 2022, 23, 24, 25. Meron bang progress, Prof? At dito naman for 2026 niya na SONA, meron pa ba tayong asahan na ipapangako niya na yung isa pang nakipag-usap ang State Secretary ng US sa kanya, ang Presidente ng Estados Unidos, tapos pinatawan tayo ng 12.5% na taripa sa export natin ng mga produkto. Prof?
Admar, ito ang kanyang lima na SONA.
Opo.
At napakahalaga nito dahil yung susunod na SONA, parang pagpapaalam na lang yon, putting the ribbon together kung ano man ang na-accomplish. Ito ngayon, napakahalaga nito kasi dito pa yung may parte pa ng governance at may parte pa ng ano pa yung kailangang magawa, ano yung hindi nagawa, at saan patutungo ang administrasyon na ito, nangyari before, bago nag-aaral ang ombudsman, sabi daw iimbestigahan, pero lahat nagpupustahan kung magfa-file ng case itong araw na ito, patapos na ang araw, pero wala tayong nakikitang kaso na maifa-file kay former Speaker Martin Romualdez. Nakita natin ang pagdating ni Secretary Rubio, related yan sa ASEAN, pero talagang ginamit nila para maipresenta na ang projection nga nila, yung nangyari doon sa hampasan na naman sa ulo sa may South China Sea, yun ang pre-note, pero tama ka, katatapos lamang ng bisita ay biglang meron tayong tariff rate na tumaas, naging 12.5%. Ganun pa rin ang bumabalot rin around that terrain is yung mga surveys tungkol sa approval at trust na pinakamababa na sa kasaysayan ng presidential politics, at makikita natin ang taong bayan ay talagang nagre-rehistro ng mga issues, karamihan economic at corruption na kailangang tingnan ng Pangulong ito. Siguro ang pinakamahalagang kailangan niyang i-address pagdating ng Lunes ay yung kampanya niya na sinabi niyang mahiya naman kayo, talaga namang dapat ikahiya dahil lumabas na yung detalye, pero wala tayong nakikitang mastermind na nakulong. Hanggang ngayon hindi natin nakikita kung ano yung ICI report, okay? Hindi rin natin nakikita ano yung partial report ng chairman si Senator Ping Lacson. 4 na chairman sa history ng Senate Blue Ribbon in 11 months ang natalaga. So makikita mo talaga yung pagkukubli ng mga nangyayari para ka magkaroon ng 4 na chairperson, talagang walang interest na ipaalam sa taong bayan ano ba ito. Mahalaga rin siguro, Admar, yung debt stock natin, nasa 18.5 trillion na. At makikita mo, utang tayo ng utang, sinabi rin itong araw na ito, kulang, may shortfall sa revenue, sa second quarter. So ang solusyon, utang. Nakita rin natin itong araw na ito na ang pagbibigay ng ayuda na mismo ang presidente
Kung hindi niyo po alam mga kababayan, pabawas na pabawas ang ating gold reserve under sa administrasyon ni Bangag. Dagdag pang korupsyon na nangyayari sa kanyang pamumuno. Grabe talaga. Nilulugmok na lang talaga tayo.
ang nagsabi na mabibigyan ng ayuda yung mga nahihirapan at yung malapit nang sumampa dun sa poverty threshold, no? Makikita mo wala talagang programa. Ang programa magbigay ng ayuda at wala tayong nakikitang economic activity para ang ekonomiya ay umikot.
Dito po sa survey ng Publicos Asia, survey nyo po ma'am, lumalabas na yung korupsyon, yung pinaka-importanting issue. Hindi po ba ito yung madaling matugunan kung totoo na talagang meron siyang anti-corruption during sa kanyang termino? Kasi ipinagmalaki nila ito eh. Parang kagaya doon sa sa war on drugs ng dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte na pangunahing problema talaga kriminalidad at droga ng ating mga kababayan. Nung itong tinutukan, talagang satisfied yung taong bayan. Ito, problema natin na noon, itong korupsyon, na bulgar na yung pinagmalaki na flood control, tapos grabe, kaliwat kanan yung baha, nagkaroon daw ng anti-corruption campaign, pag-iimbestiga, yet corruption pa rin yung pangunahing concern ng ating mga kababayan base po sa inyong survey.
Admar, lumalabas lamang yan na ang mga ginagawa ukol sa supposedly anti-corruption ay hindi natutuwa ang taong bayan for it to register na number 1. No? Hindi natutugunan yung kagustuhan ng taong bayan. Kasi tama ka, kung ang madaling sulbahan, no? Madali mong cuts across all agencies. Ang nakita pa lamang natin ang DPWH, no? Ano ba ang reform na ginawa sa DPWH? Hindi na natin alam. Wala na nagsasalita. No? Ang balita ko diyan, ang mga kontratista ayaw magbid dahil nga rine-require na babaan ang cost ng mga kagamitan na gagamitin para sa infrastructure development. Pangalawa, hindi rin nila, walang stability O sige, kung magbibid kami sa gobyerno, anong protection namin? Kasi maraming na nabanggit dun sa mga AAA na kontratista ay karamihan politiko. Yung corruption rin, hindi pa natin nakikita yung sa national irrigation na antindi. Hindi pa natin nakikita yung doon sa agriculture na balita ko malaki at saka sa DepEd. So nakikita lang natin isang slice ng pie. Pero wala talagang kampanyang nangyayari at katulad nga ng winika ni dating Congressman Mike Defensor, yung mga lumalaban, sila pa ang unang nakukulong. Samantalang yung nagbenepisyo, hindi natin nakikita yung mga yan.
Kanina mayroon akong narinig na interview mula sa sektor ng agri, no, sa manok at itlog. Natanong siya kung meron ba siyang ano ba yung inaasahan niya, gusto niya marinig sa SONA. Ang sabi niya, to pa rin niya muna yung mga pinangako niya nung una. Yan lang yung sinabi po. So, ibig sabihin, tagos sa iba't ibang sektor na puro lang pangako, walang natutupad.
Hanggang sa fourth zona, essentially yun yung building blocks napag-usapan ang Maharlika Fund, sinabi kung bakit kailangan yun, napag-usapan yung macroeconomic framework, sinabi kung bakit kailangan yun. So supposedly, sa una mo palang taon, na ilagay mo yun, medyo titibay yung pundasyon ng bayan. Pero hindi natin nakita yung paggamit sa budget. Kasi yung paglaro nila sa budget, nagsimula 2023 na At pag sinusundan mo yung oral arguments, kahit ang Korte Suprema, binubudol nila, biro mong hindi nagbigay ng hinihingi na dokumento ng Korte Suprema. So ang hinihingi ngayon ng Korte Suprema bigyan mo kami ng sworn statement na wala nga na ganyan na nangyari. Imposible namang wala kasi paano nagkaroon ng insertion kung wala, no? So makikita natin may talagang by design ang ginawa nila dun sa annual appropriation. Ang insertion nagsisimula pa lang sa NEP. Kaya nagkakagulo eh. At pag diningnan mo, di ba, napakahalaga ng budget sa kahit anong administrasyon. Pag sinabi nga na napakahalaga na panukalang batas ang budget, kung ikaw ay congressman o senador at ayaw mo mag-budget, masasapul mo ang problema ng bayan. Pero nakita natin kung paano binaboy ang budget, no? At kung paano parating sinasabi sa oral arguments, may power ang Pangulo na mag-line item veto. Nag-line item veto siya nung huli, pero nakita natin meron ring pinalusot, no? So itong mga bagay na ito, hindi ko alam kung paano ipoporma nila yung National Expenditure Program ng Pangulo para sa 2027 dahil kung titingnan mo uli from 2022 ay pataas ng pataas ang budget natin.
Correct.
7 trillion tayo sa
Tandaan yung mga kababayan, 2 years na lang mapapalitan na yung si Bonget. Kaya hindi katakataka na habang papalapit ang pagtatapos ng termino nito, nagiging garapalan na ang kanilang ginagawa. Grabe.
proposal nila, hindi mo maintindihan, meron ba tayong enough revenue for that? Kasi kung uutangin mo yan, tapos mawawala yung inutang mo sa corruption, talagang hindi tayo uunlad.
Opo. Ma'am, bilang political strategist din, sa tingin niyo po mainam na masama sa kanyang SONA or baka babalik sa kanya kapag binanggit niya yung resulta niyang kanyang anti-corruption? Kasi ang talagang sisingilin ng taong bayan yung mga napakulong eh. Pero mapapansin din ng taong bayan, saglit lang, yung mga napakulong, mga kritiko ng kasalukuyang administrasyon. Nasaan yung iba na nagsilbi sa gobyerno, sa administrasyon na mismo. Kasi doon yun naman yung concern. Nangyari ang tinatanong nila nasaan ng pera, nasaan yung sa flood control dahil itong mga involved during sa yung administration. Ano pong nakikita nyo po, ma'am?
Alam mo, ang balita, siya daw ang magsusulat ng kanyang speech. Good luck. Pag ikaw kasi usually ang nagsusulat, medyo hindi ka detached, medyo emotional ka, medyo invested ka. Pero kung titingnan natin, paano mo titindigan yung mahiya naman kayo kampanya na yung mga personalities na involved ay hindi mo ilinalagay sa tamang kalagyan, no? Makikita natin very selective, makikita natin ang ombudsman, ang NBI na weaponize na yung mga institusyon na yan at makikita mo the moment na pumalag ka, ikaw kaagad ang hinahanap. Tingnan natin yung kay Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, sinabi yung Southeast Asian Games, nung nasabing na-clear na sila at maiipit doon si Secretary Vince Dizon, saan sila naghanap? Pasok sila sa Taguig. So, kung ikaw ay kritiko ng administrasyon, talagang hahabulin ka nila para maubos kayo at tumahimik at magawa yung kanilang dapat magawa. Nakita rin naman natin sa impeachment admar, pagkahina-hina ng evidence, no, dito sa charge 1 na yung conditional threat, no, makita natin sa 9 days na nangyari, nagbawas sila ng witness, meron silang hindi pinatawag, hindi na sila recross dahil alam nila paikot-ikot lang dun sa testimony ng tatlong taga-NBI na no personal knowledge. Pag no personal knowledge ka, anong ibig sabihin? So kung sinasabi nila na
Puro hearsay lang ang kanilang binatbat.
yan ay dumaan sa masusing pag-aalam, kung masusi, bakit wala silang evidence na maipresent? Lahat haka-haka, lahat ay chismis. Yun ang nakakalungkot kasi nag-aaksaya tayo ng pondo para dito, para lang may accountability. Hindi naman pwedeng ang accountability mo ay basta-basta lang.
Includes the very defense of the Vice President. For me, the context matters with respect to that allegation of grave threats. The defense was able to establish, at least preliminarily, because they will have their turn to present their evidence later on, that the context in which those words were said was a direct response to a question about Operation Romanov, which is allegedly, at the time, an ongoing or imminent threat to the security of the Vice President and her family. So for me, considering that there was an ongoing threat to her life, and that the authorities that you would normally report to or ask help from to protect you are the same agencies that are allegedly behind the threat, then it was justifiable, understandable, perfectly reasonable for her to resort to something like that, which is to utter something to deter the threat against her life.
So you're saying that she said that to deter any threats or any plans to kill her?
Yes, because who would you run to? The NBI, the PNP, they're the same agencies that are controlled by who she believed was behind the threat to her life, which pinangalanan niya pa, the President, the First Lady, and the former Speaker. So under those circumstances, what other choice did you have? To me, it was justified for her to say, if you kill me, then I will do something back. And
Pagmamatay ako. Oo.
so to me, it wasn't a true threat. It was just
How would you categorize it? How would you
it was just a
describe
bluster.
Okay.
So legally for me, it's not a criminal act because the intent it wasn't a true threat. But also it can also be classified as self-defense because there's an imminent threat against you. And then you just did something to try and repel that.
Okay, let's talk about what you said. I
Yeah.
think that's one of the, well, to talk about self-defense, it's a self-defense basically in simple terms because she was defending herself because there was a threat to kill her.
Yes.
That's basically what you're trying to say. So if there's a threat to kill anybody, that person has a right to actually say publicly that when asked, of course, when provoked, when asked, that I actually contracted someone already to kill A, B, and C.
No,
that justifies that.
It doesn't have to be true about what you said. It just has to be enough to repel the threat.
Correct.
And that you don't actually go through with the threat or push through with the threat. So I've checked jurisprudence in the Philippines, wala pa. I think precisely because hindi siya criminal in nature. If you threaten somebody, if you hurt me, diba, suntukin kita. Diba? It's not criminal in nature. It's more of a deterrent. So I checked jurisprudence, wala pang umabot sa Supreme Court, but our laws, criminal and constitutional laws are patterned after the
So
US.
basically you're saying if
Kayo ba mga kababayan, naniniwala kayo na death threat itong pagsalita ni VP Sara laban kay BBM? Paki-comment nga yung opinion sa ating comment section ng ating mapag-usapan.
there's a threat to your life, that justifies you contracting someone to kill that person.
No, it justifies you from threatening that person that you have something
and
planned.
contracting an assassin, somebody to kill.
But that's the thing, that wasn't proved. And the NBI Director Matibag even said that they don't have proof as of now.
Wala
They're
pa.
zeroing in on people, but wala. So, yun. And yun nga, I was looking at US jurisprudence, merong jurisprudence on that. Like, for example, there was a couple that was fighting, and then the woman grabbed a bottle of bleach, and then itatapon niya sa asawa niya. Sabi nung asawa niya, if you throw that at me, if you don't put it down, babasagin ko yung kamay mo. And he was arrested for grave threats or the equivalent crime in the US. And he was acquitted because the courts found him justified in countering with a threat. And the court even said that you can threaten something that is even worse than what is being threatened to you, provided that you don't push
Mas
through
matindi.
with it.
Wag mo lang
Wag mo lang ituloy.
But how does that work? On two things. One, this just comes to mind right now, also discussed during the trial. Two other videos of the Vice President saying she wants the head of the President. Yung isa, tapos sige, itabi muna natin yung kay Mayor Baset. That's one. How does that self-defense, as you call it, claim affect, or doesn't that damage or kill that self-defense theory?
I don't think it's related. I think they were trying to, they presented those videos to show that there was a pattern or
Pattern of violence, as they called
or
it.
she really wanted to harm the president and so forth. But again, she was telling a story about how the president humiliated a military graduate, was it? Because of this tradition on giving watches. So, nagalit siya. So, she was just telling people what she had in her mind. Na parang gusto ko
Toxic
siyang,
na tong relationship na to.
Yeah. So, I don't think it's too relevant. And yeah. Pero,
Too
on the-
relevant for coming from the Vice President, talking about the President. That's actually where I also wanted to go. Of course, we understand equal protection to all, right? But when you're talking about the President and the Vice President, and even senators, people who have higher positions
Right.
than you and me, is there an exception to your theory of self-defense, sir? Because if balikan po natin si NBI Director Melvin Matibag, basically he's saying a threat to the President is a threat to the national security. What do you say to that?
the law doesn't carve out those exceptions for government officials, you know. So I think the law should apply equally to them. But tapos if we go to whether it's an impeachable offense naman, ako sa akin kasi
Sorry, sir, I don't want to go to the
Yeah.
impeachable offense first because I wanted to get your answer. Because I'm trying to understand your train of thought. Doon po sa, that is the Vice President threatening the President, according to NBI Director Matibag, which is a threat to the national security. How about that?
sa akin kasi, 'di ba, the context is may threat din sa buhay ng vice presidente and wala siyang matakbuhan. So instead of reporting it, parang what do you say? And it's not like it was even planned when she said it. It was directly in response to a question about Operation Romanov. It's public, which destroys the character of it as something that, you know, premeditated plan to threaten the president. So she was just reacting in the moment. Oo. Pero
And that justifies it.
to me it is.
It justifies
To me
it.
it does. And the former president, Duterte, the father, of course, he rose to prominence precisely because of these threats against criminals, 'di ba? Parang umalis kayo sa city ko, kung hindi papatayin ko kayo. Yan yung parang if you're talking about impeachable offense, you can argue that President Duterte, the father, maintained his trust ratings and won the presidency precisely because of those kinds of
Those tough words.
tough words.
Correct.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Kaya nga 'di ba nung si Tatay Digong naupo takot na takot ang mga adik na magasik ng lagim sa ating bansa. At marami na nga rin nagsasabi na sana kung maging presidente nga itong si BP Sara, ipagpatuloy no kung anong nasimula ng kanyang ama.
yeah, and the implementation of those tough words, of course, led to where he is right now, hindi ho ba?
Yeah, because of his political enemies. Ako, my personal take there is if there's not enough evidence to file anything here, there shouldn't be enough basis to file it in the ICC, which, of course, to me, doesn't have jurisdiction over the Philippines.
Well,
Yeah.
I interrupted you a while ago, just going through that train of thought. You said, I don't even believe it's an impeachable offense. May sinabi ho kayo about it a while ago. Could you further explain? Sabi mo, it's not an impeachable offense. Please go ahead.
It's really connected to what I said about the former president. Na it's rhetoric, diba? It's bluster. That's what I meant earlier. It's a bluster to deter criminals in this specific situation. It's to deter the threat to her own life with the government behind it, diba? So I don't think it rises to the level of impeachable offense.
Saan ho galing yung with the government behind that?
That's what she believes. And I was going to that. Ang responsibility naman ng defense is to prove that. that there's an actual threat. Because if they're unable to prove it, then diba, there's no self-defense. Pero sa akin kasi there are two layers for the defense. It's not a true threat because it's bluster. Two, it's self-defense. Bluster, for me, you don't really need to prove. You don't really have the burden of proof or evidence to show that. Pero ang self-defense kasi by law, if you resort to that defense, the burden of evidence is on you to prove na may actual threat to you.
So the burden of proof will lie with the defense. Tama ho ba?
Yeah, they need to prove kasi of course the accused and respondents are entitled to alternative defenses, diba? But if they argue self-defense, then the burden is on them to prove that there was an actual threat, that it was to her life and her family, that she did not provoke it, and that the means she used to repel the threat were necessary.
We'll be taking a very short break. We'll continue our discussion with Attorney Paolo Panelo when we return. Her alleged bagman, Ramil Madriaga, is going to be presented rather as one of the witnesses. And Attorney Panelo is the lawyer of the Vice President on the perjury case the Vice President filed against Ramil Madriaga for context. Okay. Pag pinatawag po at ipapatawag si Ramil Madriaga at sasabihin na po niya yung kanyang sinabi in the past, balikan ko na lang po some of the statements that were already made. His claim was that the OVP's 125 million confidential funds for 2022 was not disposed of in 11 days. In fact, it was done in 24 hours. And number two, siya daw po, in 2022, he was instructed by the Vice President to coordinate with then Colonel Dennis Nolasco to deliver money to 3 areas ni Huwag,
Right.
San Pablo, Laguna, a restaurant sa Quezon City, at Office of the Ombudsman. What are you expecting kay Ramil Madriaga? Natatawa na po kayo. Kasi,
Yeah.
idagdag ko lang po, si Ramil Madriaga kasi yung parang bagong dagdag dito sa confidential funds issue as compared to the impeachment case the year before.
Correct.
Go ahead, sir.
So to be honest, like the last time I spoke with Attorney Poa, we weren't even sure if the prosecution was going to present Ramil Madriaga. That's just how confident we are that presenting Ramil Madriaga will be a liability for the prosecution. Kasi, well, we all know that, as far as the lawyers of the Vice President are concerned, diba? We've seen his allegations, we've seen the lack of evidence to support those allegations, and we've proven in the perjury complaint that he's a liar, he's a he's a con artist. So, yeah, parang sige, 'di ba? Parang
Would you like him
it's your
presented?
funeral. Bale, you present him, it's your funeral.
Yes.
Parang
So-
that's what we want. I've also said before, he's a dream for cross-examination for any lawyer kasi madaling hulihin. And yun, even the supplemental affidavit, which is not even covered by the first perjury complaint or the perjury complaint that we filed, even yung deliveries nun, malabo na agad eh. Kasi for example, sabi niya, ang unang delivery niya was to Laguna, di ba? So it was dapat San Pablo, but the recipient said, dito tayo mag-meet sa Cabuyao.
Sa isang mall, hindi ho ba?
Sa Cabuyao, sa loob ng industrial park.
Okay.
And then sabi niya, in Cabuyao, Laguna, dito sa loob ng industrial park, tanaw ko yung SNR, Membership Shopping Establishment. Wala pong SNR mall or establishment in Cabuyao, Laguna. The nearest one is 45 minutes away. Okay?
I just have to interject something, Attorney, hope you don't mind.
Yeah.
When I hear statements like that from lawyers, whether it's you or anybody else,
Yeah.
and when you look at these very specific allegations, I guess that's why you laugh, because yun po yung mga more than the totality, I guess,
Yeah.
of what I'm saying, of any witness, not just him. Pag nagbigay na po kasi ng mga statements specific, yun po yung inyong tutumbukin one by one kung may katotohanan o hindi. So ang sinasabi nyo ngayon, walang matatanaw na SNR mula po doon. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of point that out because sometimes we miss the details.
Like
us.
in the first affidavit that he executed, it was missing those details. And so we said, okay, present that guy, let him supply the details because we're pretty sure we can destroy those details too. Kasi before, it was too general, you cannot rule them out. You cannot find the evidence to prove that he was lying. Pero because maybe because we challenged him or maybe because it's necessary to prove an allegation, he supplied details. Eh di, yari siya. Walang SNR sa Laguna. Yung sinasabi niyang delivery sa Nomo Basho, sinabi niya nandun si Attorney Reynold Monsayak, but we have the testimony of the owners of Nomo Basho. They were there all evening. It was closed for an exclusive party, and Reynold Monsayak wasn't there. They have pictures to show that the place was crowded during the time that Madriaga supposedly entered that establishment, and it was impossible to miss him kung may dala-dala siyang malalaking bag. Kasi ubod ng sikip ng Nomo Basho. We went to the place. It's so
I saw
small.
a video of that actually from the owners, and meron pa siyang pinakitang maliit na makitid na hagdanan papunta atang second floor, tapos may pinakita siyang ito ang storage area / office namin. Is that, I'm assuming...
So sabi kasi niya dun sa first
So there was a
affidavit,
private party
There was
that
a
night.
private party,
Okay.
Christmas party. That was kasi, December 20 and 21. The party started at 11. It lasted until 4 a.m. And Madriaga naman said that he arrived at 12 midnight. So sakto. Malas niya na yung pinili niyang araw, imposible yung sinasabi niya. Pero meron kasing connection yun eh. Kaya December 20 ang sinabi niya because I think it's Gina Acosta, the disbursing officer of either the OVP or the DepEd, previously testified before the House that the confidential funds were released on December 20. So ngayong alam na nilang December 20, gusto nilang magtahi ng storya na we also got the funds on December 20 and disbursed it within 24 hours. Eh, yun nga, malas niya. Ang sabi niyang delivery, Nomo Basho, impossible.
So, impossible because you were saying wala po doon si Mr. Monsayak at may party, napakadaming tao. So it's not, it wouldn't be easy for him to just enter and drop off the bags of
Correct.
money.
And
the
even
maleta.
yun nga,
Is that-
you mentioned the storage area. He said that somebody came from that storage, from a room. He said, somebody came from a room to get the bags from them. Pero that room is actually a storage space na baka kasya lang isang tao. Ganon kaliit yung storage. So hindi siya kwarto. At hindi siya normally lalabasan ng isang tao para kumuha ng gamit. So things like that. And of course, 'di ba, lumabas na rin yung gumawa ng painting, yung artist na gumawa ng painting and all those things, yung bangko daw sa Lubao, Pampanga, wala naman palang bank in a mall in Lubao, Pampanga, wala naman palang mall sa Lubao, Pampanga. Those things, 'di ba? So, yun, that's why we're unsure whether he's going to be presented at all. So we'll see. They've actually listed 25 witnesses for this article, so we'll
And
see.
he's one of them.
Yes,
And
he is.
you said it's a dream to actually cross-examine Mr. Ramil Madriaga. What you call, attorney, as lack of evidence is what the prosecution, or at least during the House hearing back then, would say the exact opposite. Because while you say lack of evidence and you're debunking a number of things that Ramil Madriaga had already said, meron po pa rin syempre yung mga Zoom meeting. I know this was discussed matagal na po, way back now, but good to bring it back na. Nagtrabaho ho siya daw talaga kay the Vice President. Siya ang head nung kanyang kampanya. Nagkita sila doon sa pinasa kanya yung flag na Sir Ramil. Meron si Vice President na Happy Birthday Sir Ramil na video, etc. So again, what could be lack of evidence for you could be an abundance of evidence for the other side.
I don't see it that way because those videos, pictures prove only one thing, that